Oh, hello everyone. You caught me doing a little reading there. Ha ha ha. Sorry guys, little joke. But it is Friday. It is January the 15th, and this is Language Arts class, where we will be doing some reading, though not this kind of reading. Um, yeah, guys, I just wanted to tell you a little bit about what we were going to do today. It's quite similar to what we were doing, I believe it was yesterday. We have a little bit of reading, and then there are some questions we get to answer. Um, the reading's a little longer today, um, and so there's more questions. There are four of them this time. But we don't have to turn this in until Monday. So this way, it gives you time to sort of read the story and then go back and kind of look for the answers to the questions because, reading is meant to be fun. And if we have a lot of work associated with it, it takes the joy out of it. So I don't want to make it to be too much pressure. This way, you guys can hopefully read the story and not have to rush through it. Um, and then also get some time to answer the questions. But um, the story today, actually, I think it's pretty interesting. We get to see. It's kind of like I mentioned last time. August is sort of meeting more people now. He's gone to the school. He's met some of the people that work there. Today, he gets to meet some students, some people that he will be in school with. Um, I don't know. Can you guys remember the first person you met when you came to Unity, however old you were? Well, that's what we get to see today with August. It's the first people that he's going to meet there that he's going to see every day. These are students, his peers. So um, I don't want to, no spoilers, I don't want to ruin the story, but just to give you an idea about what goes on here so you kind of understand. August and his mother are still in the office here. They're talking to Mr. Tushman again. August is kind of asking him some questions, and you get to sort of see his humor. He's a lot of the story is about August and how different he is, but there are so many things in here that you see he's just the same. His sense of humor, the things that he laughs at, are the same things that anybody would laugh at. And you get to see that when he's talking to Mr. Tushman in the beginning. They sort of make some jokes about names and things. Um, and August, his reactions are just like what you guys would do, or what any student would do. So I think it's kind of interesting that way. You get to see more about August and also see how much he might be like you or how different he might be than from you. So it's kind of interesting in that sense. So there's a little bit of talking about that, just about what's to come, and then we also get to see the students that August gets to meet here. Um, August, one of the things he's mentioned so far is he notices when people look at him. If he's walking down the hallway, he can see what people, they sort of glance at him out of the side of their eye and stuff. He's very aware of those things, and you get to see that. He's introduced to these students here, and he notices whether they shake hands with him or if they say anything. The one girl, she doesn't even look at him. She's just like, hi, and he's self-conscious about the way he looks. And if someone meets you and they won't even look at you, imagine how you might feel. So little things, you get a lot of information about who August is and how other people treat him. Because so far, all we've seen is what August has told us. That's all we really know. He says people treat him a certain way, and when they meet him, they act a certain way. Maybe they do things, they might say things, or maybe they don't do things. They don't play with him. So he sort of has told us all these things, but that's just what he says. I mean, we all think we know everything, but sometimes we're surprised. People might say different things than we're expecting, or they might treat us a little differently, and that's sort of what you get to see now is, do people treat August in the same way that he thinks they will? Sometimes when he meets people, he's sort of looking for those things, like, oh, they're looking at me funny, or oh, they made a strange face, or whatever. He really looks for those things. But now you get to sort of see how people react. Do they actually do that to him? Does everybody do that? Do some people do that? So that's sort of what we're getting at today, is how other people treat him, and you get to learn more about him as well. And also, we're introduced to new characters. Some of them will be pretty important in the story. Jack will. I don't want to ruin the story, but he's a pretty normal kid, Julian. We get to meet Charlotte today, and that's basically it for today. They're going to start a tour of the school, and then from there, that's actually the next chapter that we get to see how the kids act when they're by themselves. Because today it's the students and the adults all in the same room. And you guys know how it is. If there's an adult in the classroom, you're going to act differently than if there's no adult in the classroom. So today we get to see how the kids react to August when there are people there. Where if they said something or like, ooh, and made a face, they'd probably get yelled at, you know. Next time we'll get to see maybe a little bit more about how they treat him when there's no one around, when they can sort of be more free about their feelings. But today I think is pretty good. Honestly, guys, I think the story, it gets, if I say it gets better, that almost makes it sound like it's not good so far. I think it's interesting at this point, but I think the story gets more interesting and it gets better once we know these characters and we get to see them talk to each other and go through school, and that's what we're getting to now. We're still right before school. That's why August is there meeting these people. That's why he's meeting these kids today. So when school does begin, on the very first day, he can have some friends. He knows where to go and that kind of thing. But we'll get to see more of that as the story goes on, how the characters relate to each other, and I think that's a little more exciting. Doing, I think, is more interesting than telling, and the beginning of the story is a lot of telling. So the other thing, there are just 4 questions. Just like last time, some of you guys wrote up answers that you could type the answers, you can write them down on a piece of paper and send that to me in a photograph. All good choices. I had to say some of the answers that you guys gave to the Mrs. Garcia questions were very good. You know, there's points in that about like having a shiny smile and things like that, and some people told me why maybe they thought that Miss Garcia looked a certain way or why she reacted a certain way to the baby picture and things. So, you know, the things that you guys get from the story I think are really good, and it comes out in these questions. So, yeah, when I read the answers that you guys give to those questions, I learn more about the story because you guys find things or you interpret things in a way that even I don't think of. So it's the way you guys have been doing it so far has been very good. But there's just 4 questions today. The first one, describe how Augie feels about Mr. Tushman's office. The very beginning of the reading is about that. They're talking to Mrs. Garcia from yesterday, but also they move into Mr. Tushman's office, and August is noticing things, and he's put like a pumpkin painting and stuff. He talks about those things, and you get to see what he thinks about his office. I mean, you think about going to the principal's office, you know. Mr. Andrew's a pretty nice guy. When you go in there, what do you notice on the walls and stuff? That's just what August is doing today. He sits down and he's sort of looking around and having a conversation. So we get to see how he feels about that. The second one, what does Augie think the picture behind Mr. Tushman's desk is at first? What is it really? I sort of already spoiled that one. It's a picture of a pumpkin. So it looks, but Mr. Tushman says it's actually a different thing. So we get to find out what that is. Number 3 here, it says, why didn't Augie mind meeting new kids when he was younger? Why has that changed? That's a really good question. And it talks about this in sort of the middle part of the story. August, he's shy about meeting new people because of how he looks. And he says when kids are younger, they might be mean or they might make a face like, ooh, if you look funny or something. But they're doing it because they don't know any better. You know, when you're a little kid, if, you know, something happens or you see something, you react, you know. August, in the story today, he says when kids are younger, if they make a face, they're not being mean. They're just reacting. That's what they do. But he said in middle school, which is where he is in 5th grade, he said if kids make a face, it's because they're trying to be mean. And it's sort of like the difference in bullying. You know, it's a thing we've talked about in class before. You know, when you say things to people, you can hurt their feelings, even if you don't mean to. Sometimes that happens. You say a thing. I do it even. Sometimes I'll say a thing, and as I'm saying it, I'm like, well, I shouldn't say that. You know, sometimes things come out that we wish we didn't say or do or whatever. But as you get older, those things happen less and less. Um, you know, we know what it's like when someone says a mean thing to us, so we try not to say it to other people. And that's what Augie realizes now, is that if people say a thing to him or if they look at him a certain way, it's because they're trying to be mean, and he's afraid of that. So that's what the third question talks about. Um, and the fourth one actually talks about the same thing. Why did Augie grow out his bangs? Do you guys know what bangs are? I cannot demonstrate because I do not have hair. I imagine there will be some questions about this, but it's a hard one to explain. If women typically have this, men do too, but your hair usually, if you have it, grows down. The part that grows in the front, though, we sort of cut off. Otherwise, it'd be in your face. It'd be like this. It'd be hanging out. This part here, usually, they call your bangs. So women sometimes have really long bangs. Their hair comes down to like here, you know. Sometimes they have real short bangs. Augie, he had very, very long hair. He said his covered his eyes. And there was a reason for that. If his hair, he grew it down like past his eyes, why did he do that? There's a reason. And it has to do with meeting people and seeing people and that sort of thing. So that question is sort of related to number 3. But if you guys have any trouble with any of these things, if any of you find words that you don't know, please send me a message and ask me. You can look it up, and I might tell you to do that if you ask me. And if you can't find the answer, then I will certainly help you. But yeah, if you find things that you don't understand, if you read it and you think, I don't know any of these questions, please ask me. I can help you with that. Because this is a different skill. The comprehension questions are a bit different. You have to really, it's not about sounding out the words, it's about getting meaning. And that's a different step, and that's kind of why we're doing this. You guys are getting older, you know, this is more advanced sort of English stuff that you're going to be doing. So it's kind of new, and when things are new, we have questions. So if you guys run into any trouble, please let me know. Otherwise, enjoy the story, and I'll see you here a little bit later. Take care, guys.